Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hannah Olson and I live in Minnesota with my husband and our 3 young children, ages 7, 5, and almost 2. Today I thought I'd bring you along with us for the day. Well, actually, it is late morning. I'm working on lunch already, so we already did homeschool and everything, but I'm making a new to us recipe. It's a vegetable soup, heavy on the vegetables, and it was really good. Actually, it was a recipe from my friend Jenna Ray, and I will either figure out how to leave that down below in the description box, or I might just rely on you messaging me if you want the recipe. I love my vegetable peeler. I will see if I can find a similar one online. My grandma actually gave me that one. So I was thinking about cooking and cooking as a mom. And it hit me that the trickiest part of cooking as a mom is when you don't factor in the normal everyday life, the little interruptions that happen. So I've actually changed my perspective on recipes timing over the years. When a recipe says it will take a certain amount of time, I actually double that time in my head. Not the cooking time, because, you still need to bake things like cookies the proper amount, but what I mean is the prep time. If the total amount of time is supposed to be 45 minutes, if the recipe says 45 minutes, prep time included, I actually estimate about 90 minutes or an hour and a half. And that helps me so much, just to double that time and then be pleasantly surprised when it maybe takes a little less than that time. It just helps to account for the little things that pop up, that are inevitable, and that are just part of daily life with little children. So, for example, here, Svea had bopped her head on something. I can't remember what it was, but just some little boo-boo, and she had to come to me and ask for the ouch mouse. I grew up with the ouch mouse. We now have a boo-boo bunny, which is just a little freezable ice cube thing, and it is really a great concept. Ours recently broke, very recently, so I will be hunting for a better brand for that boo-boo bunny, as we call it, but I can maybe link something similar down below. Okay, if you have never tried squeezed garlic, like pre-minced garlic that is in a squeezable container, it is life-changing. And then if you just know that half a teaspoon of minced garlic is approximately 1 clove, you are all set to just eye it and squeeze the garlic out. It goes so quickly. If you've been keeping an eye on the clock, on the time over on the stove there, you might notice it's getting a lot later, and that's just because I started making this recipe pretty late for all the chopping of vegetables required, and it just took a while. But anyway, we usually do eat lunch well before 12:30 or whatever time we end up eating this lunch here. We usually are already eating. It just ended up being a later day. So this soup recipe actually uses cashews that have been soaking, and you combine them in a blender with some vegetable broth and blend them up, and that gets added to the soup at the end. wanted to take this time here to tidy up our daily homeschool mess, and I think mess should be in quotes because mess to me means like junk or scraps of paper or toys that we weren't responsible with, or where we just didn't take the time to put them away, whereas this is like the learning mess. It should not really be called mess, but anyway, I'm tidying up what daily kind of happens in the homeschool morning and trying to get the table and everything ready because we do homeschool at the table too. Okay, this is something funny about me, and I wonder if any of you are the same way. I always, pretty much always throw away dust jackets for books. So we got this book to go with our 5 in a row curriculum this week, and just it's a fun book to have around. We love Gail Gibbons books. But anyway, if a book's dust jacket matches the front cover, away the dust jacket goes for me because I just feel like we always end up ripping them, and it's just not worth it to me. So I don't know if any of you also throw away dust jackets. I know it's kind of funny, and I know they're supposed to protect the book, but we get rid of them because it's just extra paper basically for us. As you can see, the kids were having a blast in the basement. We do not tidy up the basement way too much, probably once a day, but I let it get a little more busy down there because we're just working out how our systems go in this rental house, and I feel like a basement playroom, while not necessarily something I want in the future, it works well for us in this wintry season of life. I also wanted to talk briefly about our categories for toys. I feel like we're quite minimal with toys actually in our family. We keep it pretty simple, and also cleanup is pretty simple because we have general categories. On the left you can see vehicles in the bin, and in the middle bin is magnetiles, which are so worth it, by the way. On the right side are our Schleich animals, and we've built up our collection a lot over time. And on the right there, you see our Calico Critters house. That's something that has been in storage for a while, but I brought it to the rental house here to see if the kids would be interested in it here, and they've really enjoyed it actually, which is fun. And we also have gears that we keep on top of that organizer. The gears building set gets used every single day, just like everything else in that organizer, but I love having these simple categories for storing and organizing toys. Okay, so I love this sourdough sandwich bread recipe. Since it's sandwich bread, it's supposed to have a tighter crumb and it doesn't have all those giant air bubbles in it. That being said, these loaves were still a little more dense than I'd like, but that's because I only recently revived my sourdough starter for the first time in a month. I hurried the recipe along a bit because I made it on a Monday, and Mondays are busy days for us. The bread is slightly sweet, and it is so delicious. The recipe makes 2 loaves. They're gone in like a day. I like to rub butter on the top of the loaves while they're still hot when I take them out of the oven, and I will link the recipe down below because it is such a good sourdough bread recipe. So these are our elderberry gummies we made, and I've tried a couple different elderberry syrup kits. I tried one by Purely Parsons, I've tried one by Earthly, and we all loved the Earthly one the most, so I will link down below what we used for the kit, and then if I can find the easy gummies recipe or I can list it out, I will do that down below too. We really do love the elderberry syrup, and taking it via gummies is a lot more fun for everyone. Soren has been absolutely loving Peter Spire books lately, which is really fun. He just loves to sit and study those deeply. So quiet time is over, which is also Svea's nap time. Her bedroom's in the basement, so that's why you saw me carrying her up the stairs. Looks like Soren wants to show us his Noah's Ark, and The Fox Went Out on a Chilly Night by Peter Spire. While I was setting things out for making a recipe, the kids were busy. I think it was an airplane that they were designing and playing in. So that's what they were doing. But then Svea came over and wanted me to read her family and friends photo album, which is so sweet, and you can't say no to that. And I don't want to say no to moments like that. So we sat down and we read it a time or two or three. And then I wanted to get going on making some energy balls. Now, these are our family's favorite snack, and it is practically an emergency when we run out of these. I have the recipe on my blog, and I typically actually quadruple the recipe at this point, at this stage of our life, because like I said, it's practically an emergency when we run out, and we go through them very quickly. They're great for snacks, they're great for breakfast, they're great for anytime you are hungry and need something a little more satisfying. But hey, they still have chocolate chips in them, so it's definitely a fun little pretend dessert if you need to call it that for yourself too. And Svea wanted to help, and eventually everyone else wanted to help too. But even though it takes longer, I try hard to say yes to things like that because I know how valuable it is. And it really is a fun time together when we make these energy balls. I also have a peanut butter problem. I have way too many jars of peanut butter, and we had to combine and consolidate all of them to get the amount of peanut butter we wanted, but thankfully that helped us to use up much or most of our family's peanut butter. And I have tips listed in my blog post for these energy balls too, which I'll link down below, but it's really easy to tweak it as you need to. If it's too sticky, you can add a lot more ground flax or however much more you think you need. And if it's too dry, you can add more peanut butter or perhaps a little more honey. What we did was, since we don't have giant mixing bowls here at the rental house, I actually used 2 large or like medium large bowls that I found here, and we just doubled the recipe in each bowl. So we were still quadrupling the recipe, but I just made 2 double batches, if that makes sense. Once I finished shaping and making all of these energy balls for this quadruple batch, I then like to bag them up, and I put them in quart-size freezer bags. It doesn't matter what size you put them in. I just like that size, that amount being pulled out at a time. And we usually keep 1 bag at all times in the fridge, and the rest are in the freezer. They actually thaw very quickly and very well, which is awesome. So definitely make a batch of these and stick them in the freezer. And then it was time to heat up leftover soup for supper, which was really nice and easy after having already done the work for lunchtime. And then after supper, I wanted to get some of our clean laundry sorted and put away. My biggest hack for laundry is just to dump all the clean, dry laundry out onto the master bed, because then it forces me to get the laundry done so that I can go to bed that night. So I know it's kind of funny, but it works well for me. What I do is I sort out, I move all of the kids' clothes and all of our socks out into the laundry basket so they can be moved elsewhere in the house, and then I just fold up Bjorn's and my stuff on our bed and get that put away.
Goes on into the house next door. Guess who it is?
Well, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming along with us for a day in our life. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I would love it if you would stick around and hit that subscribe button too. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain.